What a joy of a conference this is. In Spanish, Carlos Fuentes said, la literatura tiene que dar voz a los silencios de la historia. Literature must give voice to history's silences. Why are stories of migration or stories inspired by migration so vital? And what is it that elevates them to the level of literary?
The issue of borders is very important to literature in general, because I think that writing has to do with crossing borders, and it has to do with smuggling different cultural values. I think that the geography of imagination is wider than the country of each writer. Each writer has influences from different countries, from different places. So I think that writing is always a way of mingling and interacting with different influences from all over the world. The borders of the countries are crosses. Sometimes those are the crosses of dead people, and I think the task of literature is to erase those kinds of borders, to share a border with no crosses, with no corpses, to share a border of lively stories.
So living in Mexico, when I did, woke up Canada for me in a new way. So what in Canada is often sort of scraping by and making do, in Mexico becomes vibrant with color and sadness and festivity. And there can be a lovely bouncing back and forth between the two countries. Being in one makes you appreciate the other, and vice versa. So we go out into the world, we have the urge to travel, to cross borders, to open ourselves to new influences, and then, if we can, return to where we're from and see it with new eyes.
I think because I haven't been completely in the culture that I look like, and I'll never be completely in the culture that is my heart and how I grew up, that's allowed me to look at both cultures a little bit from a distance. And I think that that's really helped me as a writer. So I don't think you can say that there's one way that you can talk about an entire country or an entire culture. When I open a book, I love to step into another culture, another world, another time. And what I'm doing is I'm connecting to those characters, whether they're real or imagined. It allows me, in some cases, to think about my own life. Would I have done that? Would I have risen to the occasion? Would I have failed? But really, by extension, I think what we're doing as we read is try to connect to the human condition.
Being born in Tijuana and then raised back and forth between the two, I had a notion early on in my life that the border was actually an illusion. And it's only been cemented over the years by people's insistence that it's a rigid fact. Now that I live in Trumpolandia, the first section was built in San Diego by a construction company that used undocumented workers. Oh yes, and there's a wonderful little joke along the border in the shadows of the piecemeal boondoggle that cost you many billions of tax dollars, and if you go see it, it's awesome for a tenth of a mile, and then it stops and you walk around and keep going. But the workers say, pues, que construyan el muro, ¿qué importa? Look, they're going to hire us to build it. And then when it's done, we'll have all the concessions along the border, selling tacos, elote, paletas, T-shirts. And then when they tear it down, they'll hire us to tear it down. But my father took a story and turned pain into something beautiful. So I started getting this sensation that a border is just a story, that maybe we don't even come from a place. Maybe we come from a story.